Hello. This is a spreadsheet, a worksheet that I developed. It's a 20 race cycle, but since I'm only going to do today's Del Mar card, I'm only going to use the first 8 races. Okay, so let's get right into it, and I can explain the Binder place to be method as live as possible. I did each race as it came up, and I have the results of my betting on the next slide. I'll be able to show you those races. I did very well today. Um, I missed 2 races. I missed the fourth and the seventh, but I hit everything else. So it was a very profitable day. Um, and actually, when I miss, sometimes it turns out to be very profitable, as long as I can win the next two. And that's what happened here. I missed here, but I won the next two, so I ended up making a nice profit there. And then in the seventh race I missed, but I came right back in the eighth race with a win. So if this was to go on, this amount that I bet into this race would be a lot more than $15, and I'll explain that. I'll explain how that works. So this is really what the betting is all about. I mean, the place to be betting is all about. It's not a handicapping method. It's a money management method, and it's a very conservative money management method. I'm betting place generally on very low odds horses with a very high probability of hitting. The reason that I do this is because I get a nice rebate, and the system, as I will show you, can be very profitable if you can win 2 races in a row. If you win one race every time you start a new game, and I'll explain that too, of course you take your profit. But if you're in a game and you miss a race, after a miss you don't increase your bet, but you do after a win. So, and I'll show that I'll go into that down here. But let's get started, and I'm going to go through the races just as I did them live, and I recorded them as I went along. Today's first race, my starting bankroll, and this is very important. My starting bankroll is always $300, and and I bet $15 per race. That's my base bet is $15. So my bankroll is $300, and I bet $15 per race. So in the first race, I bet bet $15 on this number 3 horse Twisted Rose to place. Now, so my bank starts at $300. Since I bet 15, my amount after bet column says 285. Okay, and now the race goes off, and sure enough, the number 3 horse Twisted Rose places, and it pays $3 to place. So on my $15 bet, I end up making a profit of $22.50. Okay, so then I take the 56-cent rebate plus the $22.50 I won. I add it to the $285 amount after my bet, and that adds up to $308.06. So in the game one, in the first game, which was the first race, I made a profit of $8.06. So I put that in my pocket, and I start again with $300. So again, I start with 300. I bet 15. My bankroll goes to 285. Now the race goes off. The second race, Lucky Student number 3 places again. So I get this time I get 340. So on a 340 win on a $15 bet, I end up making $25.50. So I add the 56-cent rebate to the $25.50 to the $285, and that takes me up to $311.06. So I take the $11.06 and I put that in my pocket. Okay, then I start another game. Things are going really well. Game 3 is, again, I start with 300. I bet $15. It goes to 285, and now very nicely, Stadella Road pays a nice $7.20 place price. So I get $54 back on that $15 bet. So again, I add the 56-cent rebate, 54 to 285, and now I'm up to 339.56. I take the 39.56, put it in my pocket, and I start game 4. Okay, now we have a loss. I start again. Every time I crack 300, I start again, and so I'm back to my $15 base bet. $285 is the amount after the bet. This time I miss. The Smoky Pirate runs off the board, so I lost, and so now my bankroll goes. I still get my 56-cent rebate plus the 285, so now my bankroll is $285.56. So then I move on to race 5, which is still game 4 because I haven't cracked 300 yet, and I bet $15 on number 6, Ultimate Banjo. Ultimate Banjo wins the race, and he pays $3.60 to place. So I get another $27. I add the rebate to the amount I won to the bankroll, but the bankroll was only $270 because I had to deduct the $15 from the previous new bank. And so this added together does not break $300. It's only $296.16. So I'm about $3.50 short. So this is what I do. The whole thing about this Bender Place to Be betting strategy is you gotta win 2 races in a row. So at least 2 races in a row. Sometimes you get into situations where you need 3 races, 4 races, but right now I'm just a little short. So what I do is I take the amount that I won in this race plus the $15 base bet, and 15 plus 27 is $42. So I bet $42, and I go to the next race and I bet $42. That's why it's hard for me to do the races live, because I never know how much I have to bet until I get the prices from the previous race. So that's what I do. I take the amount after a win. If I don't clear 300, I take the amount of money that I won and I add it to the base bet, which is always $15. So now I bet this race, I bet $42 on number 1, Midnight Lily. And so my bankroll goes from $296.16 down to $254.56. But I win $75 on my $360 place price. They paid $360 to place. So I end up winning 75. So I add 157 because I bet so much, my rebate goes up. I bet 157 plus 75 plus 254.56 for a grand total of $331.13. So I make a profit of $31.13 in that race. Okay, so now I start a new game. Now I start game number 5. And that's race 7, Bow Recall number 6. So I start with 300, I go to 285. The horse runs out of the money, but I still get my rebate. So I add the rebate to my amount after bet column, and that means $285.56. So now I'm still in in game 5, and because I didn't crack $300. So in this race, I still bet 15. You never increase the bet unless you win, but I lost, so I keep betting $15. Now the course is I Am the Danger. I end up taking $15 more off my bankroll, which takes me down to $270.56, and I end up getting $27 on my place bet. So I add 56, 27 to 270.56 for a grand total of $298.12, and I'm finished with the day. If I was to continue, I would again be betting $42 in this race because I won 27 just like I did here. And so after a win, you take the amount that you won in that race plus your base bet. So in this race, the next time I bet, I would be betting $42 on this horse here. So that's the way it goes, and I hope that is a good demo. Now about the betting the place in the first place. It's a very I wanted to do a very conservative betting strategy. but one that with a very high hit rate because of the way it works is the goal is to win just over your bankroll, and the goal is to break your bankroll. I mean your bank amount, which is for me is $300, and it's a very conservative method, especially if in my case I always bet very low odds horses. Um, this is I did it this way because I wanted to make sure I had a bet in each race. Um, when I do races live, actually in person, a lot of times I skip races or I bet show if the horse is very well bet, but it's not the morning line horse, and the morning line horse has some kind of a knockout, like it won its last race and it's raising in class, and or it's a maiden who won its last race, but now it's facing winners for first. And for any reason that the horse does not fit the guidelines of For the Leads guidelines, I pass the race. That's the only handicapping I really do. I'm looking at the very low morning line odds horses, and I'm trying to decide if they're worth the fact that they're bet below their morning line odds. For instance, if a horse is at 2 to 1 is this morning line, and 2 to 1 is the amount I use as a cutoff. The horse is 2 to 1 on the morning line. I'll look at the horse in the past performances, and if it has any kind of a problem with its last race, or if it's an excused last race, I'll use the second. I just use the 4 league guidelines. I'm starting with the last line, and if for any reason I'm not happy with the horse for being those low odds, I'll pass the race. But let's say a horse is 6 to 1, 8 to 1, and he's very well bet down to almost even money, or you can just took in a lot of money compared to his morning line. And then I'll look at that horse, and if it all looks good with the 4 league guidelines, it's got a plus race and reason that a usable plus race, and the guidelines. Then I will bet that horse to show. The only time I bet to place in my own handicapping is if it's a 2 to 1 odds morning line horse that's being bet down below 2 to 1, and it fits the 4 league guidelines as a plus race. Okay, so I hope that helps with what I'm doing, and I have a couple more. I have this chart, and I have a couple more charts from yesterday. I did a race similar yesterday, and it was a good profit. And my father, Brooks, he did one, and what he did was he bet the morning. He didn't actually bet the races. He just looked in the paper this morning, and wrote down who the morning line favorite was. I just told him, Dad, just not the morning line favorite, the going off odds horse. I told him, Dad, just list the 8 horses with the lowest odds from the result charts, and I'll show you what would have happened if you had bet all those horses to place. And he did well. He did well on his too. So I'll show you those charts too. And it won't be on the video, but I'll show you those charts. Any questions, you can let me know, and I'll be happy to answer. With the charts on the post. And if you can like this, do me a favor and hit the like on the video. It'd be really helpful for me. Okay, thank you. Bye.